trying to keep it down right now because I'm in a new spot. I haven't been in one time this season. I've been here many, many times. In fact, this spot used to be my #1 haunted location. I hunted this spot non-stop. I used to think it was the greatest spot on the property to deer hunt. And there's a river that flows right through here. There's a ridge with alfalfa up on top. And then there's a food plot with big turnip bulbs down here at the bottom with greens on top. And there's a good couple of trails behind me, and there's also a good couple spots where they cross out in front of me. And I guess that's why I always thought it was such a great spot. There's a lot of diversity right here, you know. There's some terrain, there's water, there's food, there's trails, I mean, there's brush, there's open woods, like all right in this one spot. So it's kind of a cool spot, but I haven't been here one time this season yet. And tonight is supposed to hit we're supposed to get our first frost of the year. So I think the frost is gonna, that really good drop in temperatures is gonna get these deer moving tonight. I can't promise anything, but on my way in I saw new fresh tracks everywhere in the mud all over around this location. And given that we haven't really been in it one time, like not really, like we haven't been in here one time, I've got high hopes for this spot. The only thing I don't like about this location is where the stand is set up. Right this time of year, you feel really naked, I guess you could say, up in this tree. There's not a lot of surrounding cover, unfortunately, because most of the vegetation and most of the browse and most of the woods of down here are really low and brushy, so there's not a lot of cover up by me. However, since there's a lot of brush down low, it gives me a lot of opportunities where the deer can't see the best. It gives me opportunities to get situated for a shot. I've had a lot of good encounters in this stand. Seen multiple bucks here over the years. Actually, the only buck that I shot on the property was just right here behind me. The first deer I ever shot on this property was right over in front of me. The first 2 bucks my dad ever saw on this property were in this stand, so this stand's got a good history of buck activity. So we're gonna hang in there and hopefully we can see some deer. Well, we're gonna get the old 12 valve fired up. Look at those headlights. They're all fired up. Guys, it was another awesome day out in the woods. Every single time I go hunting, I take the camera, and you guys have seen and been with me on every hunt thus far, except for one that I didn't upload because I didn't see anything in 3 hunts in Ohio. Well, 2 hunts in Ohio because I didn't see any deer. And but guys, this year has been by far the best year yet. Like, I'm like, hands down, it has been just awesome this year. So I mean, I don't know what to say. It's just been a really good year. Tonight I saw 2 doe within the first like 30 minutes, and then I also saw 2 small bucks, and then I heard another deer back behind me about 60 yards in the brush, but that was that last shot. I didn't have the camera. I didn't see it, with my eyes, but it sounded like another deer, one deer moving through the brush behind me, east to west, and probably was another buck, but I don't know for sure. Given that it sounded like one set of steps, I'm assuming it would have been a buck, especially given the amount of buck activity I was seeing on that side of the river. But at first I sat in the stand, and I don't know if you guys saw it on camera, probably not, but I was looking out towards the road, and there's a road out in front of our property, and then we have this big lake, and then out in the middle of the field, but it's got trees and pines around it and some brush, and so the deer, tend to bed under there, and just randomly. So I was looking across the road, and I look over in the field, and I see 2 doe running at me, and I was like, okay, sweet, they're probably going to cross the river. There's a trail right in front of me. They're going to cross the river. They're going to pop in at 50 yards, and I'm going to get a great 50-yard shot. It's going to be broadside, no problem with that crossbow, which is the sniper, Centerpoint Sniper 370, by the way. I will try to leave a link for that crossbow in the description below. Phenomenal crossbow. Hopefully I can harvest a deer with it soon. But anyway, and then those deer come in, and they were milling around for 15-20 minutes, and then the one mature doe, she started acting real skittish. She kept looking back. She's looking over in the brush, like back behind me, and I'm like thinking, okay, so like, what is she looking at? Because they act like they were spooked from the road, because they can run across the field. I'm like, if there's another deer that spooked him, it's probably behind him, but she's looking in front of her towards where she's going. And then she kind of stopped on that island across the river. She saw something, and I'm looking, I just hear crunch, 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 and I look back, and there's like a little scrubby, either 3, 4, maybe 5 point, I don't know, and he ended up coming right up under the stand, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, the thing came in, he was at like 10, 12 yards the whole time, and he just stood there. Like, he came in at first, he took a couple bites in the plot, whatever, and then he just stood there for 20 minutes. I mean, he just locked up, probably 30 minutes, I think it was 30 minutes on camera, and just locked up, and didn't do much. And then another buck 15 minutes after that, after he had stood there originally, halfway through that time, him standing there, another buck came from behind me, a little 6-point. And meanwhile, those 2 does are now standing on the ridge in front of me, 80 yards. The one is broadside, the mature doe. And at first I was thinking, okay, if this buck looks away, I'm going to bolt my crossbow. That doe is going to be looking, if she puts her head down 80 yards, I can just use the post on my reticle. My reticle is 20, 33, 47, 61, 68. And then there's the post, which is a little bit further down from that. Basically, not quite 3 times the distance from the 68, between the gaps of the other ones in terms of, spacing. But it would have been like a perfect shot for 80 yards, like dead on the dot 80 yards. And so at first I was thinking about taking a shot, and then I pulled up my crossbow, and I'm like, she took a couple steps, and I was like, forget it. I'm like, it's not worth busting all these deer to maybe hit that doe at, 80 yards. So I was like, can the bow do it? For sure. I know the bow can hit 80 yards, but on a deer that could be alert, it's just kind of risky. So I just left it at that. They ended up walking off. They went and bedded down, off on the neighboring property. Then the other buck ended up circling back. He walked back about 70, 80 yards behind me, kind of at an angle. And then I actually ended up bumping him on my way out of the woods. He was actually bedded down right next to the trail that I walk on, that I keep mowed. He was bedded right in the brush on the side of that. I bumped him out to the field. He saw me as I was walking out, and then he walked back in and bedded down again. And then also that other 6-point, he ended up just circling away. So
overall, great night. Couldn't be happier. If you guys did enjoy the video, leave a like, leave your comments below, subscribe if you haven't. Hopefully I can bring you guys more hunts over the next few days. Stay tuned. I'll catch you guys in the next one.